Frank Gardiner became renowned as the father of modern bushranging in Australia. Born in Scotland in 1829 as Francis Christie. Arrived in New South Wales in 1834 aged 5. Between July 1861 and September 1862 Gardiner reigned supreme in the gold districts of Forbes and Young New South Wales. Gardiner held the Queen's Roads to ransom, levying taxes at the end of the revolver, whereby he earned the sobriquet of King of the Road. Gardiner was often compared to the 17th-century English highwayman Claude Duval. However, sick of bushranging life and small rewards, Gardiner dreamed of the quiet life. Frank Gardiner had fallen in love. In late 1861 a vivacious beauty bewitched the dashing villain. Her name was Catherine Brown, a married woman 14 years younger known as Kitty. Catherine Brown was born 1843 at Tweogo, New South Wales. Catherine had been educated and in 1859 married at age 16 John Brown, a mild-mannered stockman employed on her father's cattle farm. Catherine was the youngest daughter of Julia and John Walsh and was by reputation, as with her two sisters, known as one of the Wild Wedding Girls. To end the piffling rewards of robbery, Gardiner conducted a robbery of grand scale. Late on Sunday 15th of June 1862. Frank Gardiner led 7 men in robbing a gold escort at Eugowra, New South Wales. With the success, Gardiner escaped with £14,000 in gold and cash. Leaving the scene, the men rode 60 miles evading the police black trackers, Gardiner telling Daniel Charters,
"Go as crooked as you can so as to bother the trackers."
Arriving soon after at Tweogo Hill. Here the spoils were divided equally to the gang. The loot divided. The gang dispersed from Tweogo Hill. However, the police were soon upon the hideout where Gardiner had remained. In the panic of fleeing, Frank Gardiner abandoned the horse loaded with his gold. Lost forever, Gardiner laid low for several weeks near Tweogo Hill. However, all was not lost, as his other treasure and lover, Catherine "Kitty" Brown, was near. Kitty lived a stone's throw from Tweogo Hill and was the younger sister of the wife of Gardiner's mate and accomplice, Ben Hall. Within weeks of the gold robbery, the police rounded up suspects, including Ben Hall and the husband of Kitty, the innocent John Brown. While Brown was held, Frank reclined in the warm embrace of Kitty's arms at her home at Tweogo. However, Inspector Pottinger got wind of Frank's dalliance. Pottinger in the dead of night laid a trap. Gardiner appeared, stand in the Queen's name, called the officer and then fired. Startled, Gardiner escaped, the gun misfiring. Early next day Kitty and Gardiner departed for the nearby Rio district, Gardiner's old haunt. Laying low for some months, Frank and Kitty departed New South Wales for Queensland overland. Travelling 900 miles to the remote Apis Creek 100 miles west of Rockhampton, Gardiner commenced a business arrangement with an Archie Craig and his wife Maria Louise in a hotel and general store. Apis Creek, a frontier settlement where the road was traversed daily by miners bound for the Peak Downs fields. Gardiner and Kitty offered food, grog, accommodation and other supplies to the weary throng. Love blossomed for Frank and Kitty as marital bliss thrived. Kitty had said, "I am the lawful wife of Francis Christie." They had married at Tweogo in September 1862. The Apis Hotel and store boomed and Frank became a favorite of the district, often minding hundreds in pounds and gold at the store. Frank and Kitty settled into their new venture. However, Catherine was always on guard against treachery. 1863 blended into 1864 and life for the couple maintained its blissful reverence. But the winds of change were near. However, even in the throes of love, the powers of greed lurked at hand. February 1864 New South Wales Police got wind of Gardiner's situation, sending a team disguised as miners to get their man. From Rockhampton 3 police arrived at Apis Creek and set up their camp close to Gardiner's store. The leader McClone feigning illness, 2 troopers Pye and Wells sought out Gardiner for some medicine. Noting Gardiner's police description and after chatting with Gardiner for some considerable time, satisfied themselves that he was the man they wanted. A quick survey of the store, they departed saying they would call again in the morning. Next morning at sunrise they headed for the store, by leading the packhorse and Wells close behind him, both armed with revolvers. Gardiner was then about 5 yards from the store door. By stepped back towards him. Wells instantly put a revolver to Gardiner's face, calling upon him to stand, upon which he was taken so much by surprise that he stepped back towards Pye, who quickly threw his arm around Gardiner's neck, and put his knee to his back, and in a moment the ex-bushranger was on his back. The handcuffs were then snapped onto him and his legs tied with a piece of rope. The bushranger was got. Craig rushed from his hotel door. Kitty, who was making towards the store screaming, nearly fainted. She offered no opposition but appeared altogether helpless. She wrung her hands and continued to exclaim, "Oh, what is it? Oh, what are we going to do?" Kitty's greatest fear had been realized. As Gardiner was escorted, Kitty accompanied them, showing great courage in swimming her horse over the Yamba River, which was flooded at that time. She followed Gardiner from Rockhampton to Brisbane, thence to Sydney, trying at every opportunity to bribe the police and others with money to get Gardiner's liberty before reaching Sydney. Gardiner faced court and received a 32-year sentence. Devastating Catherine. Visits to Frank in prison were forbidden. Shattered at the loss of her love, Catherine in 1868 moved to New Zealand and at the Tapu gold diggings in a fit of madness shot herself in the head, dying some days later in extreme agony. Frank Gardiner was set free in 1874 and deported from Australia.